Hey guys, fifth time trying to record this video here. My name is Ben Eshrick, and this is my second channel, Real Ben Eshrick, where I am just a little bit realer with the camera. And today I wanted to talk about anxiety, because there's this girl, and when girl shows up, anxiety likes to rear its very ugly head.
I think she hates you, bro.
No, she does not. That's just your brain trying to tell you that. Anxiety is one of those things where your brain will just try to convince you 24/7 that the worst possible case scenario is happening right now, and if you don't send that double text asking her if she's mad at you, the entire world will literally explode. When in reality, your brain's just trying to fool you, dude. You don't have to do anything. You can kind of just hang back and live your life. When it comes to the dreadful double text, there's a very important distinction between sending a double text because you want to and it's a good situation to, and sending a double text because you're anxious and you want to make sure that she's not mad at you and doesn't hate you and isn't going to break up with you and isn't going to cut you off. And a lot of people will convince themselves that they're sending the double text for reason number one, when really they're sending the double text because of reason number two. And I have a perfect example to give you guys. So this is a very short story about my friend. Let's call him Mark. Mark and his girlfriend have been in a relationship for a couple years. The honeymoon phase has kind of died out now. They're both just living their lives in this relationship. Wonderful couple, two great people. But they both gotten a lot busier in recent months, and Mark is an anxious mess, so when he can't see his girlfriend as much, he sends a lot more of those anxiety texts like, are you okay? Is everything okay? Are you mad at me? And while at first it's okay and the girlfriend understands, right, there's going to be a little bit of increased anxiety on both ends here, right? You guys can't see each other as much. But eventually, there's a line. There's a limit. There's a point where asking so often if everything's okay becomes extremely draining for the receiving party. And it makes sense. Think about it. If your girlfriend was asking you if you were mad at her every other day when there was no reason for her to believe that at all, you'd get pretty upset too. Like, if my girlfriend's asking me if I'm mad at her all the time, I would just start thinking, like, am I not doing enough for you? Like, am I not showing that I love you? Like, I would get offended eventually. And so one of these times, Mark is actually sending an apology text, an apology for all of his anxiety and all of those double texts he sends and always trying to make sure everything's okay all the time, and how it gets draining and annoying for the girl. And the girl responds with, "Thank you, I appreciate the apology." Basically saying, like, yeah, this is something to work on, but I do appreciate that you're paying attention to it and trying to work on it, which is the most expected and normal response ever, assuming this was an actual problem, which it was. But Mark didn't like that, because Mark wasn't sending an apology because he felt bad for constantly anxiety texting her. No. Mark sent that apology text because he wanted her to say that there was actually no problem at all and everything was perfectly fine, because Mark wasn't actually apologizing. He was just trying to fulfill his own anxious beliefs. But Mark doesn't even realize that. Mark is being accidentally manipulative, a term that I just made up. And the thing is, Mark is a great guy. He would never purposely manipulate his girlfriend. He would never purposely try to just milk a response out of her, but that's exactly what he was doing. And all of this is a symptom of perpetual anxiety brain. Mark doesn't quite know how to fix his own anxiety yet, so he copes with it by constantly asking for reassurance and then needing to apologize for asking for reassurance. And then when he doesn't get that reassurance from the apology, he gets mad because he didn't get that reassurance, but he swears he's working on it himself. Point being, if you start falling into the infinite cycle of reassurance, you will absolutely never gain actual trust and faith in your relationship. It's okay to ask if things are okay once in a while. It's reasonable to be anxious and think that there might be a problem. That's perfectly fine. There's a reason to be upset. But when it gets to a point where you're just kind of constantly asking if everything's okay all the time and you're constantly feeling anxious, you have to do something about that, and that something is nothing. You can't act on the anxiety. You need it to prove itself wrong. You don't need to ask her if things are okay. You'll find out that things are okay when you guys hang out tomorrow and everything's perfect. You don't need to ask if she's mad at you because she's responding slowly today. She's probably just busy, and that'll prove itself tomorrow when she's texting you back and forth like nothing ever happened, because nothing ever happened. You just convinced yourself that something happened. And the reason why I say to let these anxiety waves hit you and to not say anything and to not do anything about it in that moment and not send that anxious double text is because that's how you train your brain to understand that other people have lives and can't constantly be on the phone reassuring you of everything. You're training your brain to understand that everything is okay, and you don't need written proof that everything is okay to believe and trust that everything is okay. And you build that trust over time within yourself by not taking actions for your anxiety's sake. And you're never going to fix this yourself long term if all you do is constantly push it onto others to fix it for you. And eventually those people are going to be tired of fixing your anxiety for you, and it's eventually going to cause genuine issues in what could have been an amazing relationship if you'd ever just let yourself build up that trust. This is something that has destroyed so many relationships for me in the past. Talking stages, you name it, it's happened. You can take a relationship that's perfectly on the rails and throw it completely off the rails because you think that it's off the rails. It's stupid. And it's all created in that stupid little head of of yours. And that's why my message today is to stop letting your anxiety control your life. Stop letting your anxiety control the texts you send. Stop letting your anxiety change the way you act around people. Because there are ways to treat this yourself without needing to pawn your problems off to other people. And while that's really hard in the short term and even long term, being able to handle these emotions yourself and work on them long term is going to literally save you relationships, friendships, jobs, everything in the future. I've been talking to someone for a decent period of time now, and instead of letting those anxious battles constantly win, I've just kind of chilled myself out a little bit. Let her speak up first. Let her do things first instead of me constantly being the one that needs to reach out first and needs to make sure everything's okay all the time. And it's built a healthy balance by which I can actually trust and not feel the constant need to ask for reassurance all the time, because I've conditioned myself to not need that constant energy from her all the time. And the worst thing you can do for your anxiety is condition yourself to have infinite reassurance at your fingertips at any time, because all that will do is give you the quick hits that fix your anxiety temporarily instead of actually doing something to fix it long term. This obviously doesn't work for everybody. Some people have anxiety that's so bad they need to get medicated for it. Some people have different methods of treating their anxiety. Some people just prefer to ask for reassurance and they have someone who's always willing to give it to them. But in my life, my anxiety has hurt so many relationships and hurt so many things in my life to the point where I had no choice but to work on it myself and stop acting on my anxiety. The chances are things are okay and you quite literally just need to chill out. Thanks for listening. I'll see you guys soon.